कुमार स्वामी नायक गोंगो लुगु लटोका रेडियो फीजी 2 में पुराना गाना लगे हमें बहुत अच्छा लगे।
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन।
Good evening, Fiji. In this bulletin, Economy Minister calls out opposition leader. NFP MP makes GDP manipulation claims. And Tikunduandua's excuses called a bluff.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Jackie Spate.
Minister for Economy Ayaz Said Qayyum has hit out at the opposition, saying they've used 2 days to debate, ridicule, lie and undermine the hard work put into developing the budget. In his right of reply, Said Qayyum questioned what mindset the opposition is trying to inculcate in the public. Said Qayyum also says the opposition has presented no alternative budget. Karoy Tandulala reports.
The Honourable Ayaz Said Qayyum to give his right of reply.
The Minister for Economy singled out opposition leader Sitiveni Rambuka for calling the new budget irresponsible and rudderless, changing his tune from the night of the budget address.
The Minister of Economy always pretends to be an expert of the economy and finance and often ridicules others, but fails to see the problems that exist.
What have you guys done? What have you done? You had the opportunity, you have more people, you have more resources, you did not do an alternative budget because you are scared. You are scared, you don't know what to say.
Said Qayyum also signalling out the National Federation Party leader for his criticism, calling him an intellectually dishonest politician. The minister adds the opposition's comments against the budget are filled with misplaced contempt for what is good and genuine, an effort to feign empathy for the poor.
The future of Fiji First government is on life support. The government has no economic vision for Fiji. It just makes up things as they go along.
We need to shift away from petty politics and obscurity, which has been the hallmark of your government, Mr. Prime Minister.
He is so busy, first of all, trying to be so obsequious to the opposition, that means smarmy, so eager to roll over and please, so eager. You're an intellectually dishonest politician. You have been obsequious because you need to be obsequious to him.
The Economy Minister says the opposition's contribution to the budget debate has been abysmal for the past 2 days, with Rambuka and Professor Biman Prasad trying to spin the numbers and undermine institutions. Karoy Tandulala, FBC News.
Attorney General Ayaz Said Qayyum has accused opposition MP Tikunduandua of practicing treacherous politics. Said Qayyum was responding to Tikunduandua's use of a private email between him and Prime Minister Vorenge Bainimarama while debating the budget in Parliament. The NFP president claimed the government started manipulating GDP statistics in 2013 so that the Bainimarama government could enter the 2014 general election in a strong position.
Tikunduandua read an extract from an email which he claims was given to him by Prime Minister Vorenge Bainimarama in 2013 when the NFP MP was the PS in the Prime Minister's office.
I will not read the entire email that contained the Honourable Attorney General's concerns about the need to increase the GDP base after the figures released by the Fiji Bureau of Statistics estimated the 2012 growth to 1.7%, when according to AG a growth of 2.2% was announced in the budget. Nothing is more clearer than the indisputable evidence that I have just outlined in Parliament today.
There is no conspiracy. In fact, there's an email that says that if you use those base figures, we would have shown a growth in 2008 when the whole world knew that we did not grow in 2008. Honourable Prasad, understand that. In 2008, if we had used those figures, we would not have grown. They're now trying to, Mr. Speaker, obfuscate issue. The reason why you're yelling is because you've been caught out.
The Economy Minister also thanking the Prime Minister for his leadership, adding he would never follow a politician like Tikunduandua.
All of them know it, Mr. Speaker, but they have no guts. And we counted for the fear of losing their seats and they have to pay perks and privileges. And all of them are happy and are content in going against their conscience to be subservient to the members of the animal family.
You can die 1,000 deaths for a leader like him than for the treacherous politics that you profess even for 1 minute. I will not ever join you.
Syed Kayum says the use of the email by Tikundundua and the National Federation Party was an attempt to mislead Fijians because the opposition has no response to the new budget. Ritika Pratap, FBC News.
Infrastructure Minister Choneo Sumate has questioned opposition MP Pia Tikunduandua's public statement that he made when resigning from the government in 2014. Tikunduandua had stated that he was leaving the government due to his ailing health. However, in Parliament last night, he claimed that he resigned because he could not serve two masters, claiming Syed Kayum influenced Bainimarama to bend reality and truth for political supremacy.
For me, sacrificing my $200,000 salary and pension was necessary to avoid becoming a yes man. Like all others currently in the 51st Party, singing praises to the two-man rule.
Nothing to do with the leadership of the Prime Minister or the AG. Therefore, he either lied at that time or he lied now. He lied to all Fijians as to the reason behind his resignation. His maiden speech in Parliament should be played back so that he can hear it. In his maiden speech in Parliament, he heaped praise on the Honourable Prime Minister. Now, out of bitterness, he is attacking the Honourable Prime Minister.
Health Minister Dr. Ifiremi Wangai-Nabete has told opposition MP Pia Tikunduandua to follow proper protocols when taking pictures inside a hospital. In Parliament last night, Tikunduandua showed pictures of a washroom door at the CWM hospital in Suva, claiming it's been broken for 26 months.
The ones that I showed earlier, Mr. Speaker, tells the painful story of the state of decay of the health facilities and indeed a nation presided over by the Honourable Prime Minister for over 13 years, who for all intents and purposes trusts only his Attorney General and Economy Minister or his right-hand man for guiding the nation. And the Honourable Minister of Economy hasn't betrayed his trust, at least to his boss, who firmly believes he can do no wrong.
Honorable Tikunduandua, that door was repaired. And if it's recently bad, then I wouldn't know that. But I can tell you this, that door was repaired. And that block that's there is left there because sometimes when patients enter in, they need to keep the door ajar in case the patient runs into the problem so they can be able to call.
Minister for Women and Children has taken a swipe at the opposition MP Lenora Ngerengeretambua for not giving full facts on issues raised about the modification of homes for persons living with disabilities and its allocation. Lenora Ngerengeretambua claimed that the removal of funding for housing upgrades for persons living with disabilities will increase the vulnerability of a largely ignored portion of the Fijian population, including the elderly. She went on to claim that this will directly strike at a family's ability to meet everyday needs.
It will reduce women's access to employment and education. Mr. Speaker, 91% of Fijians with disabilities require structural modifications to improve their homes and living environment. The severity of impairments increase exponentially without such improvements to their house being made.
In response, Minister Meriseni Vuniwanga says it may not be the same amount if it was allocated in the current year, but it is still there. Vuniwanga says the role of modifying homes will now be carried out by the Ministry of Housing with carpenters from the PRB and the ministry. Coming up, murder accused fronts Suva court, and social welfare clarifies bank issue.
मैं तो दिल्ली में रहता हूँ और रेडियो फीजी रोज सुनता हूँ।
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन।
A man alleged to have murdered a 35-year-old woman in Lami last week appeared in the Suva Magistrates Court this morning. Arvind Chand Rai, a carpenter from Narere Nasinu, is charged with 1 count of arson and 1 count of murder. Fai Yen Chan was found unconscious by firefighters who responded to a report of a fire at her Lami home last week. The post-mortem ruled that Chan's death was a murder. The accused informed the court that he will hire a private lawyer. The prosecution objected to bail and made an application for the matter to be transferred to the High Court, which was granted. The case will now be called on August 12th. The Department of Social Welfare says recipients who have not changed their bank accounts to BSP will continue to receive their monthly allowances. This comes after the Westpac Bank withdrew from its agreement with the Welfare Department and BSP stepped in. The department says there is no truth to the talk that recipients who haven't changed banks will not get their monthly allowance. Sainiani Boiler reports.
The ministry says the government will pay for the bank fees and recipients during transition, but this will change in the future.
Transition is, it's up to the recipients. They can change if they want to. If they want to remain with the current, banks, they can. But when the transition is complete as per the agreement, then those that will remain with their current banks will have to be paying the bank fees, and that's why we are making the transition.
Fatiaki says they're also closely collaborating with the BSP on how best they can deal with the issue.
Identifying, centers within the community and how possible we can do this, and then once we are able to do it, and then we will let them know as to when and where to go.
Minister responsible Mereseni Buniwanga says there is no need for recipients to change banks now.
I advise that social welfare payments will continue to be deposited in beneficiaries' allocated bank accounts, depending on the banks they have already nominated.
Over 77,000 Fijians are currently receiving monthly allowance under the social welfare benefit schemes. Sainiani Mboila, FBC News.
Tailevu Provincial Council Chair ACP Rusiate Tunravu has confirmed that there are vacant chiefly titles in the province that need to be filled immediately. The issue topped the discussion in today's annual provincial meeting as their findings stated, in the absence of person and authority at village level, hinders the execution of any development projects mapped out by the council. Josaina Nunga reports.
ACP Rusiate Tunravu says the Vanua is responsible in electing its chief and collaborates with the Ito KFA's ministry on the chiefly installation process.
Definitely they have different roles and to play in regards to the appointment of the various chiefs in the Vanua. We are just encouraging that we need the Turangani Vanua to be installed, and I can vouch that in any Vanua, if you don't have that leadership in place, the developments and all the things that we would like to do does not carry a lot of weight.
Permanent Secretary of the Ito KFA's ministry, Meleti Mbainamarama, maintains they will only give advice and guide community members when a new chief is installed.
We see this as much a part of the Vanua upbringing. It is Vanua that should address these issues. We should be addressing issues like planning in the villages, things that concern the villages in terms of cultural identity. These are things that should be addressed by the village elders and the Vanua, and not the ministry.
The ministry earlier confirmed that over 3,000 chiefly titles are vacant and classified in 3 traditional titles: Turangani Matangali, Turangani Awusa, and Turangani Vanua. Josaya Nanunga, FBC News.
7 people were rushed to the Lambasa hospital last night following an accident between a bus and a locomotive in Lambasa town. When FBC News arrived at the scene, fire officers had just freed a woman from under the bus and rushed her to the hospital. The bus was on its way to Namara from the Lambasa bus station. According to police, the bus driver allegedly failed to notice several warnings sounded by the locomotive operator when approaching the crossing at Damanu Street, resulting in the accident. Out of the 7 taken to the hospital, 4 have been treated and sent home, while 3 remain admitted. They are all in stable condition. A police investigation continues. And Whitney joins us now with the latest in business.
Thanks, Jackie. In business tonight, more consumer spending expected. And in growing Fiji, Embassy supports NGOs and corporate businesses. Stay with us.
Pula nadang ko approach lang kerse
ngor kraki do talebe on barong na radio Fijuan nandomo ibiti.
Radio Fiji One, nandomo ibiti.
The government expects civil servants will lead consumer spending to help Fiji's economy recover. Minister for Economy Syed Kayum has defended maintaining of salaries for public servants, saying cash will eventually hit Fiji's overall revenue. He adds that tax increases would also have had a negative effect on private sector.
If we cut civil service salaries, we're taking out, sucking out, even if you did 10%, at least $120 to $130 million from the economy. They won't be able to spend that money, therefore you won't have consumption. When you don't have consumption, you don't pay VAT. They look after other people. They'll be the key stakeholders, to drive the impetus we've given to the private sector.
McDonald's reported a bigger than expected drop in global restaurant sales. This as the burger chain's locations around the world were shut, limiting operations to drive-through and delivery only.
Quarterly profits plunged a worse than expected 68% at McDonald's, with many of the fast food giant's global locations forced to rely heavily on drive-through and delivery during the past 3 months. International sales were a major factor in that slump, according to company results released Tuesday. But in the U.S., where McDonald's has a third of all of its restaurants, sales were nowhere as dismal as everywhere else. Still, CEO Chris Kemczynski pointed to McDonald's strong drive-through presence and investments made in delivery and digital over the past few years, saying they have, quote, served us well through these uncertain times. Nearly 90% of all U.S. sales came through the drive-through. Like many restaurants, McDonald's has had to pivot during lockdowns by slimming down its menu and shifting mainly to online and mobile orders for pickup, delivery, and drive-through. As restaurants have started to reopen to limited dining, McDonald's has joined other U.S. restaurant chains and retailers in requiring face coverings be worn inside locations. It is already starting to see a pickup in U.S. business for the month of July, but says international sales continue to struggle.
We now join Sharon from HFC Bank with the latest in the money market.
Australia has recorded annual deflation for the first time since March 1998. This was after headline inflation fell to minus 0.4% in the year to June. Their consumer prices fell by 1.9% in the June quarter, making it the largest quarterly fall in the 72-year history of their CPI. Meanwhile, the US dollar index bounced off a 2-year low today as they continue to see a rise in coronavirus cases. This is dampening hopes for a quick economic recovery and leading investors to question the US dollar's relative economic strength. Also weighing on the US dollar was uncertainty over an additional fiscal package to support the economy. While the Democrats are calling for a much larger package, some Republican senators were against their own party's $1 trillion relief proposal. Now all eyes will be on the US Federal Reserve interest rate decision and their monetary policy statement due later tonight. So we'll see the results of that on our currency movements tomorrow. And that's all from HFC Bank for now. Vinaka.
Looking at today's local exchange rates as set this morning, the Fiji dollar bounced back somewhat from yesterday, showing gains against the Chinese yuan, the Kiwi dollars and the euro. It held fairly steady against the US greenback and the PNG kina, and slipped slightly against the Aussie dollar and the Japanese yen. Commodities dropped somewhat. Crude oil prices were down slightly at just over $41 per barrel. Gold dropped about $23 but still sits at $1,951 per ounce. And silver closed down about $2 at $24.22 an ounce. The French embassy today organized a morning tea with non-governmental organizations and corporate businesses in Fiji. The aim of the event was to provide a relationship and strong partnership between NGOs and businesses to help Fijians affected by the pandemic. European Ambassador for the Pacific, Sujiro Sim, says now more than ever partnership is significant in working towards supporting Fijians affected by the pandemic. Venina Rakautonga has more.
This is seen as a much-needed boost for non-governmental organizations in Fiji to provide a platform for a bigger reach.
The key word to overcome this crisis situation generated by COVID-19 is partnership. So we have to partner with the different branches of the government of Fiji but we also have to partner with the civil society.
Co-organizer Ajay Bai Amrit says the initiative will give the parties a chance to network and share ideas.
Yeah, the initiative today was basically to bring together the majority of NGOs who are doing fantastic work during these unprecedented times, especially with the COVID-19.
He says the partnership of businesses and NGOs will assist recovery and help change many lives.
Every organisation deserves to be thanked, and thanked in a big way, because, like I said, prior to the COVID-19 situation, they were doing their work, going along, and there wasn't the pandemic that is there now. Now, because of the situation, we have to come to the forefront.
The event today was also organized to show appreciation to organizations such as the Salvation Army, which provides school lunches once a week, and others that have been working behind the scenes to helping everyone get back on track. Venina Rakotonga, FBC News.
That's it from Business Tonight. We now join Jamie with the latest in sports.
Thank you, Whitney, and good evening. Ahead in sports, youngster honored to play alongside childhood heroes. And bar wary of super threat. There's some more coming up.
My name is Neha and I'm from Karavi, and Mirchi FM, it's hot.
Mirchi FM, it's hot.
There's a good number of young and promising talent emerging onto the domestic rugby scene with the start of the Skipper Cup. While Tronetani Wasurakuta had a stellar debut for Nanrongat Centre, the capital city also blooded a 20-year-old in their forward pack. Aquila Dama with the details.
Taniela Sandrungu.
Mention the name Taniela Sandrungu and not many will turn their heads. But after a strong maiden performance in provincial rugby last week, the youngster will surely go a long way.
It was a very good experience playing against them. When we watched them through the television during our primary school years, and very good experience to play against them. We can edge ourselves from there to play in the international level like that, or the Skipper Cup level. So I think for the coaches to name me.
The former Ratu Kandavulevu school student says he'll never forget the experience of his first provincial match.
Some of my seniors from school, like Leon and Away, our halfback, boosting us young players, and not only the RKS would be players, the likes of John Stewart, James Brown, Cyril Ntua, giving advice, boosting us every day during training.
Sandrungu was not the only youngster playing top-level rugby for the first time, as Naita Siri had the most debutants in round 1, and the Highlanders head coach was impressed with them.
It was a good performance. Lotoka is a very good team. They really pressured us so much during the game. But considering the fact that having 9 debutants was a big achievement for us.
Having 19 and 20-year-olds play in Fiji's premier competition is a testament to the development work done behind the scene. Aquila Dama, FBC Sports.
After a narrow 2-1 win over Lambasa last week, Mba football is raring to go against Suva in the Vodafone Premier League on Saturday. With both Mba and Suva on 12 points on the VPL table, the winner of this clash will be able to close the gap on league-leading Rewa, who's on 16 points. Tali Materakula reports.
Despite playing at home, the men in black say they are well aware of what Suva will bring to the field on Saturday.
If you see Suva, they have all the experienced boys. They have made use of this new transfer window well. They have, the backline, if you can say, it's a bar backline, which we had our number of players that played for us last season. But nonetheless, it will be a tough encounter, but we are expected to match them.
While odds might be stacked against the young Bar side, they are remaining optimistic.
We believe in our boys, and we have seen them train hard, and we are really confident to get out with the 3 points.
On the other hand, Suva aims to continue its unbeaten run, and a win will set a good platform for the Punja's Battle of the Giants tournament, which starts next week.
When you want to play national league games, you gotta be, consistent in your games. Everybody wants to win the league, so then you become a very consistent team throughout the year.
The match also comes as an advantage for both teams, having been drawn in the same pool for the upcoming Battle of the Giants. Ba hosts Suva at the Fiji FA Academy ground on Saturday 3 p.m. and the match will air live on FBC TV and commentary on Mirchi FM. Talema Terkula, FBC Sports.
The police cricket team will clash with Army in the final of the T10 Cricket Bash on Saturday. Army defeated Lakemba in police upset Onoilau in the semi-finals on the weekend. Cricket Fiji Chief Executive Alex Conrote says it will be a great clash of national reps, pushing to earn a spot in the national team's extended squad. The finals will be held this Saturday at Albert Park.
So it'll be a very good game. It's hard to call at the moment. They both littered with Fiji national team reps. So it'll be a very good game.
Athletics Fiji President Chochi Linga says its upcoming national championship will be an ample opportunity for the three athletes vying for the Olympics to engage in some sort of competition. As international borders remain closed, Linga adds the championship will give Olympic hopefuls Mbanube Tambakaudoro, Mustafa Fall and Eugene Volma an opportunity to compete. Linga adds although the local competition may not provide the standard required for Olympic qualification, it can help the trio improve on fitness and their individual best. The Crusaders won't be short of any motivation when they take on the winless Chiefs in Super Rugby out there raw on Saturday, following their shock loss to the Hurricanes on the weekend. But for one player in particular, there's an added incentive to come out firing. Today's play of the day, we're off to Super Rugby Australia. Rebels Fijian wing Marika Koroimbete with the dummy and don't argue in one swift action. This was a classic from Koroimbete in his 50th game. That's it from Sports Tonight. In new media after the break, tips to save you money on phone plans. This and more coming up.
Hi, Bula. I'm Selai from Nandi. I love Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.
And it's weather time now with our favorite lady.
Hello there and welcome to the Weather World. What a warm day, quite breezy too. I definitely loved it and hope you did too. It's very seldom nowadays we get solid sunshine throughout the day. Now that we do, let's enjoy that, and while enjoying it, let's see what the other centers had for the day. In the west, nice and bright, weather never disappoints here. The night will turn cold. Eastwards from Peck Harbour to Suva, sunshine was an absolute stunner. Everything actually looks clean and dry. And up north, day was fine. The night will see a few showers, quite breezy for now. At sea, southeast winds are nice and calm, gusting from 15 to 25 knots, moderate seas. Now turning to the tides, low tide at 7:58 p.m. with high tide at 2:33 a.m. Sunrise at 6:34. For tomorrow, it will be cool and partly cloudy, but clouds will break away and give way to sunny spells. Tomorrow's temps, Lambasa will be warm at 32 degrees, with Ba being the coolest at 19 degrees at night. And looking further on to Friday, I basically call it the start of the weekend. The sun has decided to stay on. Good on us. That's all the weather news from my end. It's back to Jackie.
Thanks so much for that, Angie. In Fijian Pulse tonight, we asked, what are your thoughts on claims made in Parliament by an opposition MP that COVID-19 was a satanic doing?
Because in real, we don't know how COVID started, you know. So it's a game of politics. So that's their game. So we just play ours.
In my opinion, COVID-19 is God's plan and we should accept it. I don't think it is satanic.
I think it is false. It's not satanic, it's very real.
COVID-19 is just like a fever or any flu that goes around.
It is not a work or someone's evil doing.
In the world of the weird and the wonderful, Russian scientists are poring over the stunningly well-preserved bones of an adult woolly mammoth that roamed the earth at least 10,000 years ago. The ancient beast was found local. Inhabitants discovered its remains in the shallows of a northern Siberian lake. Recapping the main stories for tonight, Economy Minister calls out opposition leader. NFP MP makes GDP manipulation claims, and Tikunduandua's reasons called a bluff. Now for these stories and others, tune in daily to our sister radio station Gold FM. Our poll question we're asking, with liquidity set to rise to $1 billion, should banks decrease interest rates? Visit our FBC website to answer. And on to our shot of the day. This is a shot of the famous Albert Park, an absolutely gorgeous one captured by Merioni Dhamaila Kemba. And you can send us newsworthy pictures to email fbcnews@fbc.com.fj, by Facebook page FBC News, and our Twitter page at FBC_news. That's your news for tonight. Until tomorrow, from the team and I, stay safe, stay warm. Bye for now.
Bula FM number 2 NSR.
Bula FM number 2 NSR.